All right, again, welcome everyone to today's Lunch and Learn webinar, Creating an Extraordinary E-Commerce Experience, brought to you by ArcherPoint, Dynamicweb, and Perfion. According to Forrester, 72% of online consumers in the U.S. prefer to use web self-service to get answers to their questions rather than contacting the company directly. So with the majority of online buyers making decisions about your company and your products without ever contacting you, you need to know how to guide them towards the right solutions to meet their needs. You need to know how to effectively communicate with them and let them know you understand their likes, dislikes, and pain points. Our presenters today are Richard Lee, a sales engineer with Dynamicweb, and Joe Walsh, Regional Director of Perfion. Richard utilizes his more than 15 years of digital agency and portal development experience combined to create technical demonstrations that show businesses how their e-business pain points can be addressed. Joe has more than 18 years in product data software and consulting and is a specialist in optimizing product information. We also have Daniela Belsegui on the line to help out during our Q&A. Daniela is also with Dynamicweb. In today's webinar, our speakers will introduce you to how to create an extraordinary e-commerce experience using Dynamicweb, Perfion, and Dynamics NAV. In just under an hour, you'll learn how to optimize your customer experience, deliver content customers rely on to make their purchase decisions, personalize your visitors' online experience, guide customers towards the most relevant products that fit their needs, and implement the solution that makes it all possible. Today, you'll learn how to thrive at online selling. So without any further delay, we'll go ahead and get started. Richard, over to you.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. Hello, everyone. Okay, so here's today's agenda. We're going to learn a little bit about Dynamicweb, then we're going to learn a little bit about Perfion. We're going to introduce you to a demonstration that we have set up for you and how we integrate between Perfion, NAV, and Dynamicweb. And then I'm going to take you through the front end of a demo site, some of the back end covering e-commerce, content management, and marketing, tailored rewards, personalization, a variety of things, and still leaving enough time for Q&A at the end of today's webinar. As Suzanne mentioned, feel free to raise your hand to ask any questions pertaining to what you're seeing on the screen or what maybe you want to hope to see before the end of this webinar. Okay, so let me begin with introducing you to Dynamicweb and a little history about ourselves. We got our start in 1999 in Denmark, also home of Navision. We're now present in 13 countries with over 100 employees worldwide. Though myself, Daniela, my colleague on the call today, are based in Los Angeles, where Dynamicweb North America's headquarters are. We have globally over 4,500 customers, and as many of them have a B2B, a B2C solution, possibly another type of sales portal. That's why we have many more thousands of solutions. Globally, we have over 200 certified partners, but in the U.S., ArcherPoint is one of a handful of partners that we work with, as well as another partner of ours, Perfion, also on the call. Joe?
Thank you, Richard, and thank you, Suzanne, for allowing Perfion to participate in today's presentation. Here's a quick backdrop on Perfion. We have been in business since 2006. Really, Perfion was a response to the Dynamics community really wanting a better experience with their product data and wanting to know how ERP and rich product data would interact. And so we got our beginnings really from that main driver in the marketplace. Our lineage does come from Denmark as well. That's where we're headquartered. In fact, our parent company was a Dynamics implementer, which is why we live and breathe the Dynamics community so well. I reside here in the U.S. On the East Coast, and I'm responsible for developing the market here in the U.S., which is now a very strong focal point for Perfion, our model is to work with various partners, Archer Point being a predominant partner of ours, and to ensure that we're helping customers understand how product content can become a strategic asset in their business. And we'll learn a little bit about that later as we go through the presentation.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Joe, would you speak to this slide, please?
Yeah, I think this is important to note here. This is a comment from both the leadership of Perfion and Dynamicweb, and I think what it elegantly states is the importance of our partnership and, more importantly, the commitment to our partnership. Perfion has, in conjunction with Dynamicweb, built a standard integration between our two applications, and that took a clear edict from our leadership, a clear understanding of where our businesses want to go, and really a great vision in terms of how we solve a problem in the marketplace. And we hope that that comes through today as well in our presentation. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Joe. I will certainly demonstrate that between the Perfion back-end server and the front end of our product as well. So continuing on here with Dynamicweb and what we are, this is my favorite slide on the deck, what we call the all-in-one platform. So just as Navision is the single piece of software, the system of record for a company around financial, operational, warehousing, etc., everything related to the website in terms of content management, e-commerce, and online marketing, we have encapsulated within our solution, which we simply call Dynamicweb, or specifically the all-in-one platform. On the left-hand side of this diagram, we have the data sources on the left. We're speaking to our integration and capabilities with Dynamics NAV or Navision, as well as an integration to CRM, either Dynamics CRM or Salesforce.com, and our integration and partnership with Perfion as well, a product information management system. And then on the far right, we have the omni-channel. We have the website, or collectively that encapsulates mobile, the online store, self-service portal with respect to what Suzanne mentioned at the opening of the webinar, email marketing automation, and various other digital marketing tools such as personalization that I'll go into in further details. Now, speaking about Perfion, let me let Joe speak to this slide, if you will, please.
Thank you, Richard. So what we're looking at here is a very typical diagram in terms of how you might envision a product information solution such as Perfion in your business. Perfion excels at letting a business centralize all of its product information assets. And the importance behind that is it allows you to think strategically about, A, how you build and structure your data and maintain it, but also where and how to deliver it out to the marketplace. So in Perfion, we think of various outputs or channels as just that. It's just another place to share your data. Dynamicweb and their e-commerce engine being a very powerful channel at that. But in Perfion, you're taking advantage of the ability to model product data at a very detailed and extensive level. So you're not limited to how deep you can define your taxonomy, for example. You can build out a schema as wide as you want for your products. And you can normalize on all of your values or attributes within your data set. And that's power for people that understand product information and want to deliver the best product data they can out to the market. So at its core, Perfion excels at that. And what it hasn't forgotten is that critical piece on the back end, your NAV system. There's important elements within NAV that you may want to share with the market, such as a price field or some basic logistic element. That is all information that Perfion can share or retrieve from NAV and share with the marketplace in a displayable type function. In other scenarios, you might envision building product data out in a very robust, rich way, and then making the determination that it's a sellable item and you can share certain information from Perfion back to Navision. So you have this, this world where you can have bidirectional information sharing with your ERP system and Perfion. I'll add one more aspect. I talked about the channels. Our customers today think of Amazon as a channel. They think of their print catalog as a channel. You name it, wherever they can have product placement in a way that customers can consume and make good business decisions, to us as a channel. And Perfion, our goal, our aim is to help our customers really manage that experience effectively. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Joe. I think that one of the magical pieces of your software is the capability of changing PDF content, which is often a bane for prospective and customers of ours, where they have so many different product SKUs, I mean in excess sometimes of 100,000, and they have sales sheets, spec sheets, so much related informational sheets that of course are in PDF form but will ultimately end up on someone's printer, and your power of capable of changing those touch points is, I think, one of, when I see someone's eyes light up after I say that, I know that it's certainly hit them right in the gut of their pain. Would you agree that that's a powerful point of your product?
Yeah, I think you hit on a pretty strong and very topical sentiment in the marketplace. So too many companies are straddled by unstructured content. That's content that lives in a document. It might have a lot of detail and specification to it, and it's hard to change that over or make it dynamic in terms of how that end spec sheet is created and delivered. Perfion enables just that. So thank you for that. I think you hit on an important topic. It's a way to create content in a much more dynamic and structured way, and PDF is just, again, another channel, another output for that.
Okay, great. All right, so we talk here about our integration with NAV, and with, in the case of Dynamicweb, we are, we are reading information from the PIM, from Perfion, but as was alluded to, some information we can reach out directly into NAV to pull, especially when it relates to an e-commerce environment, such as specific pricing, or such as availability, stock levels. And so when a customer logs in, they see the product information, that could be supported by Perfion, and all that information is carried over, accessible in a batch mode, so we're not overly taxing the server in real time, and we're nightly pulling in that information into the website. But for real-time communication, we can communicate to NAV to pull out specific pricing for that customer, discounts, and also availability of the product. And the way we communicate with NAV is using XML. And we basically use a code unit that reads these XML ports, and we are using it as a very light footprint that sits inside of NAV, so we go along for the ride if you're upgrading your NAV from one version to another. We're not adding any fields or tables. We're just simply reading the information out of it and mapping it to the silos inside of our application. Within Dynamicweb, our solution, long before we hooked up to NAV, we were a standalone product, and that's why if your NAV server should go down for a few hours or a few days, your e-commerce site will continue to run. Obviously, some information that's queried in real time, like specific pricing or inventory levels, would not be available for customers, but 99.9% of the rest of the website would be. If I may name drop here, Gartner had some nice things to say about our ability of integrating heavily with ERP applications, specifically for industries in wholesale and manufacturing. And here are some examples of customer references. The first one is a mutual customer of Perfion and Dynamicweb. This is Weber Grills. This is for their European division, running 32 different websites off of our platform, integrating with NAV, integrating with Dynamic CRM, as well as having all of their product information supported by Perfion. And the inset with the iPhone indicates that all of our solutions are mobile friendly, responsive, as the term is known. Another example of our work is a mutual customer of ArcherPoint, Perfion, and Dynamicweb as well. A company called GoodSource, providing a B2B portal for their ability to sell foods and food products online to customers. Another Perfion Dynamicweb customer here is Actona. They saw a 6-month return on their investment using our product, and the ability to reduce the amount of time that their B2B customers can access product catalog information online, plus all the rich details of marketing information that Perfion is supporting, and all of the availability and pricing, specific pricing that NAV would provide. McCutcheon is an example of a B2B customer of ours. They use NAV, and what's unique about their scenario, and something that I just want to emphasize here, that when we talk about e-commerce, sometimes it's not the typical, have a product added to a cart and check out, whether in a B2C environment with a credit card or B2B with a purchase order. It could be something that's maybe even transcends all that, but it's still electronic commerce. And McCutcheon sort of is that outlier in that sense, where they are in the horticulture industry, so you're essentially ordering plants long before they're actually being created inside of a nursery. So it's almost like a futures application, and just letting you know that if it's inside of NAV and it's data that's retained inside there, we can build a portal and an interface to access that information. So it's not needing to be in the traditional sense of a shopping cart and a product catalog. So I'm going to switch over to the live demo here. Feel free to raise any hands with any questions on what I just outlined here while I flip over basically to our Perfion server. So actually, let me take us through the front end over here. This is the front end of my spare parts demo. It's what I normally speak to with regards to the integration between NAV, Perfion, and our solution. And just to show you here briefly, if we look under components here, this is a fictitious website. It's both for B2B or B2C. I'm going to show today more focus on the B2B environment. And notice here I'm selling computer parts. So inside of your computer, your desktop that is, you have a chassis, you have heat sinks, hard drives, etc. We took this content and it's basically sitting inside of a Perfion server. And let me tap in remotely into the Perfion server right now. And here we're looking at that structure. That same structure that I see on the front end has a logical business back end of it where it's the chassis, hard drives inside of the Perfion database as well. So looking here at hard drives, let me click there. And then here I see the hard drive information. And if I click on this one hard drive here, which is my sort of my featured hard drive, all this information here, including details of from a marketing perspective, from just a basic perspective on what is this product, with information that came in maybe initially from NAV, including thumbnails, etc., are maintained inside of Perfion. And then that information would touch upon the many different channels that Perfion works with. In addition to the website, the dynamic website of things, it also touches upon, like we talked about, the PDFs that constitute product catalogs, sales sheets, spec sheets, you name it. So I can make changes over here, and those changes would reflect onto the website as well as in the back end of the website as well, where other maintenance occurs. So that said, let me flip now to the front end of the site, take us through how things work in a dynamic web sense of the word, and then take us into the back end. Feel free to ask any questions here. So I'm going to log in right now as a fictitious company here. Okay, and what I'm going to show you here is, let's look over here under hard drives. So a few things occur that are slightly different than when we are not logged in as a customer. Here we're seeing specific pricing, and here I'm showing the strikeout price really as an emphasis around this demonstration that doesn't have to happen that way. Another thing to emphasize too is that the design that we see here on the screen is subject to whatever you want it to be. We're not limited in any design, shape, or form of it. If you want it to be a have more of a look and feel like what we see here and the very basics of functionality, that's completely fine. But if you want it more slicker, it can be done. Dynamicweb is first and foremost an ISV software vendor, but we also in the US, though we work with partners like Perfion and ArcherPoint, we're the main implementers of our solution. So therefore, we essentially have a digital agency with the capabilities from design to certainly programming, .NET programming, to implement the product. So with this page over here, we're looking at the product catalog sorted down by hard drives here. We see all the details. We have some nice features. I scroll down to the bottom. I have something called infinite scroll, so it just keeps showing me more and more products without showing me a page 1 of 20, showing 10 at a time. I also have a nice feature here for filtering, which again is based on all the data that comes in from Perfion and or NAV, including its, if you're reselling or wholesaling many different manufacturers, you can break it down by manufacturers. If, let's say in my case, I'm doing it by computer parts, so it has an interface. If I'm doing medical supplies, I might want to show volume or output measurements in milliliters or cc's. So you name it, you could show it as sliders, you can show it as radio buttons, you can show it off as checkboxes. And so design freedom is open to whatever your desire is. Another nice feature on the front end is if I do a search on, let's say, Intel, the big word in the spare parts of the word, without hitting the enter key or clicking on the search icon here, I get an automatic or auto search results. So just like in Google, you start typing a few of the letters of a word, it starts showing you some suggestions of what you're doing. So it saves you time and helps you remind yourself of what you're looking for. It also shows us a thumbnail, which we know is another way of engaging a customer on not just search results, but visual search results as well. Now, because we're logged in as a customer, a B2B customer, this is where some of the power comes in of self-service, help yourself with things. Along the model of Amazon, when is the last time you ever called someone on Amazon for help? You're really going to help yourself to information, and that's what all websites are expected to behave. And here we have within the customer center of our solution, we have the ability to take a look and help yourself to information. So this is information that is based on the customer login. I'm logged in as this fictitious company here, and it's querying the NAV server. So here it can circumnavigate the Perfion solution, go into NAV, look at the customer card inside of NAV, not only show me the details of my account, but also show me prior sales orders. And so these can be sales orders that happen prior to using a Dynamicweb Perfion solution. It could be orders that were inside of NAV before because they were entered in manually because of a phone or fax order. So if they're inside there, we can retrieve them. We can also permit reordering with one click. They can click inside and see what the status of the order is, the condition, maybe show a little visual chart to show that it's been picked by so-and-so, it's been inspected by so-and-so, and it's been ready for shipping by UPS, for example. We can also offer customers a return option here, a simple RMA to more complex RMAs, where instead of a customer sending an email, sort of a blind email to your sales or customer support where it's, I want to make a return on something, they're not being very specific, here they can use a form, that is a very guided way of essentially initiating a return. Whether the return is accepted or not is going to be dependent on your end, but ultimately they can define against what order, they can select which item they can want to return and provide any additional information, and then create the request. So instead of it just being a blind email. And another cool feature that we have here is warranty and assembly documents, so that as orders are purchased online, the customer can go in and see a library of associated documents. This is where all the information that Perfion's database speaks to, we can cull all that various different files, including YouTube videos, inside of this warranty and assembly documents that are related to the products that I bought. So if I'm buying specific refrigerator units, I don't have to search the front end of the website to look for product information. I could just go into my Customer Center warranty and assembly documents and see the related documents and usage information about the products that I've been buying from this website. Okay, so let me jump out of here now, go into the back end, and start showing you some things around a narrative of, what happens on the e-commerce side to how we can use our platform for online marketing. Okay, so let me flip over to the back side here. We are an on-premise solution, so it can be installed in your environment or in ours. We are at version 8.7. We provide minor releases twice a year, once in January, once in August. And we're about 6 months away from our version 9, which is a completely different looking interface from what we have here. This interface here borrows the look of like Microsoft Outlook, so it is a Microsoft.NET solution integrating with NAV, and therefore we wanted to have a familiar interface as well, and that's what we see here. So all of the components of our product, the content management side, e-commerce, marketing, are all accessible inside here. And as I alluded to earlier, this is an all-in-one platform, so just like NAV is all things related to the operational side of a business, everything related to the website is also found inside here. So content management, file uploads, FTP is included, e-commerce, and then marketing. And marketing, a little bit about it is that that's probably our unique value proposition when we look at our competition. Often with phase one, customers are seeking a way of leveraging the vision to go online with that product information, that product catalog. Also working with Perfion to extend the marketing information capable of reaching out to further omni-channel PDFs, catalogs, etc. But then what is often a short-sighted vision with companies, because integrating with NAV is not necessarily an easy feat if you try to use some open source products like Magento, Drupal, WordPress. They forget that after they do that with our product, for example, the next thing that they want to do is increase those web channel sales from whatever 5% to 15% and beyond. And the only way that's going to happen is with online marketing. So if I'm sure all of you on the call, if you have some marketing people with you or yourselves, you have your website and you're looking at third-party products, let's say HubSpot for search engine optimization. We have that built in. Not HubSpot, but our own thing. We have, let's say out there is Marketo for identifying customers that are on your website doing certain things, looking at certain pages, adding things to the shopping cart, and then Marketo gives those people a score and fires that back into your CRM. We do the same thing. We're not essentially a Marketo, but we have a lead tool that identifies customers, gives them a score, and we could push that into your CRM, either Dynamics CRM or Salesforce.com, or allow that to be a trigger that a customer is on your website and it just sends an email to your top people who need to know that a customer of this particular customer is on your site doing the following if you're not using CRM for that purpose. And then another solution that is often turned to a third party is email marketing. And those third parties include MailChimp, Constant Contact, and we have that built in as well. So the beauty of using all of these components built in is that it saves you an enormous amount of time. So you don't need to import or export information. Segmenting your customers is all being, you can identify them all within it. And let me speak to it by showing you and demonstrating that. So first and foremost, let's go here to e-commerce and just show you what goes on in the e-commerce backend here. So because we integrate with NAV, we're not only pulling information over from the front into the front end from NAV, we're also capable of pushing over completed sales and purchase orders. So even though I'm tapped into the back end of the e-commerce site here of Dynamicweb, we see here that items in black are full transaction orders, but items in red are abandoned carts. So speaking to the black items here, these items would be pushed as completed orders. In this case here, this is I'm taking credit cards, so these would be essentially sales orders. If I didn't take a credit card and it was purely B2B, I can see a purchase order, and that's pushed over into the NAV side of things. So your salespeople don't need to take a look at the back end necessarily of Dynamicweb. They can just remain focused inside of NAV and see what's going on in that way. But what we're not going to push into NAV is obviously abandoned carts. Now, the beauty about our platform is we're capable of recognizing an abandoned cart, particularly around if a customer is logged in. And in the case of a B2B site, they have to be logged in order to see specific pricing. So that helps with anonymous abandoned carts. But also in a B2C environment, we have a few methods to help attract or capture someone's email address so that they don't just add things to the cart and then are simply interrupted by a text message and then disappear. We have another way of where, inside the checkout, the email address is a separate field first and foremost asked. So if you provide your email address and then you get to the page to add in more information about who you are, where you live, and you just feel daunted and don't want to fill that out, we've now captured your email. We've now associated with an abandoned cart, and we can have an automated email marketing message that goes out to those people. So let me show you here, we'll take you through a scenario here with about 10 minutes left on what I want to cover before leaving it to Q&A here. So imagine now we have users. So we have an elaborate user management system of our product here. And these customers are customers that we initially pulled in from NAV to get a head start on things. And then they're still remaining inside of NAV. They still have their business rules associated with them inside of NAV. But as they transact on a website, as they receive email marketing, as they do things, whether they're logged in or not, we're tracking their experiential, their experiences online, and we're saving them that information inside of our platform. And then this way we're capable, particularly around registered users, we're capable of segmenting those users into groups based on, let's say, behavior. So let me just show you some examples of a smart search here, what we call a user smart search. And this is a way of me segmenting for, let's say, in the purposes of automated email marketing, where I'm going to send an email newsletter to a group of people who had done a certain behavior, and I'm going to set it up on a certain frequency. So let's take that narrative step by step on how we do that. So let's say I call this bought hard drives. Okay, and I can be specific here. I can say that they bought a specific hard drive, and I can scroll down here by behavior on website. I can go here to bought a product, and the condition is, so it's true, and I go here to value, and I click here, and I can select the product that they bought from our website. And this, again, is based on experiential information. At the same time, let's say I'm a marketing person. I'm like, well, I know that they did not buy this product, which sort of tells me something else. So you can set the parameters of what this smart search is, and then as people, let's say, buy this product, they automatically end up in this smart search list. And therefore, this list is dynamically generating by itself as people are transacting on the website around the product that you define as part of your smart search. And then when we create an online marketing message, we're going to send it out to those people. So let me cut to now the content management side, how we're going to create this message. So let me go here to content. all the pages that we see here are all the pages that are available in my demo over here on the front end. So on the back end here, all these pages, including hidden pages. Let's say I'm testing a page, or I have some landing pages. Right? This is all very common stuff that you see in all the applications, but I'm going to show you where it starts to differentiate itself. So over here under email message, I'm going to go to a message over here that I have set up already, and let me show you what this page looks like here. Okay, we have a message here with an animated GIF and various components here. And often with content management solutions, you see front-end editing. That's where you can click on that and you can go step by step and make edits to the thing without knowing anything about HTML. But furthering along that, you know, as a content manager, you have probably many different pages that you sort of cannibalize from the very first one, and then you created version 2, version 3, etc., or ones for different times of the year, seasons, holidays, etc. Imagine then if you could just, instead of cannibalizing it and then needing to keep track of all those different changes to many different pages, you could simply have one page that basically has all of the elements that you may have to use throughout the year, but you're simply enabling and disabling them when you need it. So let's say it's not spring anymore, unfortunately. So we click on spring, I'm going to turn it off. I don't want this eye-catching graphic, but I want another one over here, this eye-catching graphic. And I want the social media icons at the very top instead of the bottom. Now when I hit show page, it's been quickly reconstructed into a different page. I didn't have to rename things. I didn't have to copy and then make a new name for something else. I just simply turned things off. I dragged and dropped elements, and I have a different message now. So let's say now this is the message that I wish to send to my segment of users that I created from having bought a product. So the way I would do that, I would go into marketing. And I'll show you these other great features that we have here, but I go here to email marketing, and let me go over here to create a new email. Okay, and this is all built in, so I'm not needing to log into a separate place and having to export that smart search and then import that into a different application. This is all inside here, all communicating with content and information that we have built in. So I'm going to go here to send a blank email. I'll call it important news. And then I'll show you just how simply it is to add and make a newsletter campaign. So here I went to add a smart search. So I'm going to select the smart search that I created. Let's say those who view the product. Okay, I have 4 people who've requested to receive information, and I go here to page. Which page am I going to send? Well, I'm going to send that email marketing page I just made called Special Sales. So now I have that configured. I basically changed 2 things with the to and the page that I'm sending it to. I can even do a split test right over here if I wish to. And then over here under send, I can choose send now or scheduled send. If I choose scheduled send, this is my opportunity. Basically, when I change this from repeat every to one time to, let's say, every week, every month, every 2 weeks, this is where I've set up marketing automation. It's automated because A, it's sending out on a frequency, and it's automated because it's going to a subset of my customers known as a user smart search based on their behavior on the website. That could be behavior based on the website, like viewed a product, looked at a product, lives in Beverly Hills, and is also male or female. I can identify them further all the way down to that level as well. Or I can identify them as having come in from our email campaign. So as we know with all email campaign software, you want to see the metrics around what happened, how successful was this campaign or not. So let me show you how we assess that information. So let me back out of here. Let me take a look at this 70% off sale over here. And we want to see the results of that. Now, this is the basic results of it. Now, I sent it just to myself. That's why it looks so perfect. There's 100% recipients. We can see our opening rate. We can see the click-through rate. We can even see how much in dollars an order was placed. And that's because the e-commerce and marketing are combined together. And now, let's say I want to see additional information. Who is this recipient? Why are they opening up all our emails? What are they doing after they get this information? And here, pardon me, we see that I've received 11 emails. I opened all 11 emails. I got 3 links, and every time I'm interacting with an email, I'm essentially earning a little performance score. So again, this is sort of alluding to what Marketo does, is where every time I'm doing a certain behavior, and what that behavior is and what that score is completely customizable on your end, so that you can say that, all right, if a customer opens up an email, that's basic. Outlook just opens up an email just by you showing a preview. But if they actually click on the link, that's when I want to start giving them points. And here it's giving them points based on their behaviors, clicking on links, opening up an email, possibly going to certain product pages, and then collectively, my performance score over 11 different emails that have been received by us, my score is 90. So that means I could create a user smart search that identifies these customers that are highly engaged. Maybe they didn't buy as much as I want them to buy, but they could be at the tipping point where, if I send them the right message, they're going to be ready to buy, especially as Black Friday approaches. So I could say, all right, I want all users, regardless of male or female, regardless of where they live, but the ones who currently receive our newsletter and have a performance of 90 or greater, I want to create another smart, and I'm going to target those people, maybe not on a frequent email, but an infrequent, more personalized email by first name, dear first name, I saw that you looked at our website on this date, etc., and giving them all that information and even giving them a specific product catalog within that email targeted just for them. Okay, so that's how we do the email marketing things. Let me show you more about what we have inside here. We have the lead tool here, which allows us to identify customers on your website in real time. So just like Google Analytics tells you in the past who was on your website anonymously, and they started on the home page and they went to this page and then they exited from the About Us page, here we're capable of identifying customers by their IP address. So for the B2B users that you're working with, those people will have a dedicated IP, and therefore we can see from their IP address where they're located. I don't have any data inside here because this is primarily my demo, and I don't advertise the demo online, but we're capable of identifying them. We give them a score, and we could push that score either as an email to your sales reps or push that into CRM where your sales reps are already inside of on a regular basis with changing their scores inside there with a lot of rich information on what they did, when they were on the site, and how often they've been visiting the site since possibly a phone call that one of your sales reps had with them in the past. We have the capacity of doing split tests so that we can identify which changes, one single change on the website or in an email marketing message is more effective in turning the conversion up for a campaign or a landing page, etc. And let me show you now personalization, last but not least around things, and I'm going to show it around something we call a tailored reward. So let's say it is the middle of the night. I am looking at hard drives. I'm on a mission. I went to Google. I found this website that sells hard drives. I'm now focused on hard drives. So I take a look at this hard drive here, and I see all the details here. This is information coming in from Perfion. Pricing information would come in from NAV. Availability from NAV. I see this. Okay, all right, well, that's not really the hard drive I'm looking for. Let me look at another hard drive. So now, instead of, this is an opportunity to capture someone's attention. In a brick and mortar store, you see people looking at the diamond jewelry. Maybe you want to keep pushing them to the back of the store near the vault where you have more bigger diamonds, etc. So here is an opportunity to sort of give them that personal attention electronically, digitally. And this is what we have here, a digital or dynamic profile set up for a customer or a type of customer that we identify as people who are interested in hard drives. So if you were to go to like LL Bean, just for showing up at LL Bean, they'll ask you, oh, give us your email address and we'll give you 10% off your order. That certainly benefits the customer, and it somewhat benefits LL Bean because they capture an email address, and email is still a very powerful way of capturing attention and customers. But it doesn't tell them what they were interested in. Are they interested in flannel pajamas or hunting caps, whatever? Here, we can give them what's called a tailored reward. It's tailored around a behavior, in this case, looking at hard drives. So when I give my email address here, it can fire it into the one of the user smart searches that I have that's related to this campaign, let's say loves hard drives. So when I send an email newsletter to existing customers and customers who just simply provided their email around hard drives and interested in hard drives, I can upsell them on SSD drives, on thumb drives, on all sorts of memory-related products, all because I've captured and identified them based on who they are and what their behavior was on the website. And that's essentially what personalization does. Personalization is a way of dynamically altering the experience of a customer on the website based on their on-site behavior, like looking at hard drives, or based on their incoming behavior. So let's say, let me show you here on editing this profile, and this is the last thing I have for you guys today, and I hope very much that you enjoy what you see here and that you reach out to Perfion or ArcherPoint or ourselves to get a deeper dive from us or second demo with us. But for now, let me show you here. This is one example of how you can create a recognition rule essentially based on incoming behavior. So let's say they're coming in on a certain IP address. I can say drag the IP address over, and let's say you're at a conference. Your team is there at the conference, and the conference, as usual, the cellular data inside the building is not that strong. So you're using the Wi-Fi. Everyone's using the Wi-Fi. You could therefore set this up so that if it recognizes people coming into the website based on the Wi-Fi address, that Wi-Fi address we enter over here, we assign an action, which is essentially similar to gamification, where we add a number of points, and then we have sort of an if-then statement sitting on the website that says if a user comes in and their profile is equal, this profile here at the conference as well, equals 10 or greater, that means they're at the conference as well. Show them this pop-up. And that pop-up could be, whether they're on their phone or their desktop, it'll say, hey, we're at the conference as well. We're at booth 640. Come on by. So that's how personalization works from an incoming perspective as well as an on-site perspective. And it's what the enterprise companies are dying for, and it's what the mid-sized companies are recognizing as a very important way of distinguishing their products, their company, their technology over others by using personalization as well for their websites. So we got 10 minutes to spare. I'm happy to answer any questions. I have Joe here at Perfion to answer questions, and Suzanne, as well as my colleague Daniela. Please fire away, and I'm happy to also revisit any points if you wish.
Hey, thanks so much, Richard. Appreciate it. And wow, the tailored rewards, very cool. We do have a couple questions, if you could answer them for our audience. The first one is, how is the score created for those web visitors? And can you weight the behaviors? Or can the user rate the behaviors?
Yeah, sure. So the scoring is, out of the box, the scoring is done where, let me go here to the lead side of things. Let me go back just so I can show you some data here. Let's see if we have something sitting here back in. Okay, well, basically what happens is in the lead side of things, we are recognizing like the total number of visits, the last visit that was made, the number of page views, did they add anything to the shopping cart, and what we call that is our engagement index. So what pages did they visit, how long were they on the site, all those metrics that, like even bounce rate, that Google Analytics captures. But we're capable of identifying which one of those has a weighted value in it. So a bounce rate won't be that important, let's say, in this environment, but if they're coming back and they have numerous visits, that's very important, because sometimes you have people coming in and they have one visit, looking at one page, really not important. But numerous visits is usually an indication that they're coming back to earn trust and reviewing the site maybe 2 simultaneous visits indicating that there's more than one person at the company looking to validate your products and what it is you're doing. So all these various components or various different behaviors we collect into what we call the engagement index, and it's a score that out of the box has a certain value based on things, but can be customized to have specific values based on what you and your team feel are the most important values and behaviors of a website, and then giving it a score that help stand out inside of the CRM or whatever method that you use to help identifying customers, so that it brings them to the light, bubbles them up to the surface so that salespeople can act on it faster on it.
Great, and be proactive with those as those scores rise. Okay, another question came in. Are you able to show customer-specific pricing directly from NAV? I believe you might have mentioned this.
Yes, absolutely. So we can show it directly from NAV, and that's usually what we prefer doing. You know, with NAV being a system of record for companies, we want to use all of the data that's inside of NAV and leverage that information and bring it over to the front end of the website. But sometimes, you know, some people, for some reason, don't use NAV that way. Maybe they put specific pricing inside as a CRM. We could certainly retrieve it out of there. Or let's say they're in the midst of upgrading NAV from an older version, let's say 5 to a newer version. They can use Dynamicweb as a placeholder or like a stopgap to put that information in there so that we can keep track of that information as well inside of NAV, or as a temporary place keeper for it, because like I mentioned before, long before we hooked up to NAV, we were a standalone product, so that we're capable of doing all those things internally. But certainly we want to use NAV and for all of its information that it has inside there, as well as all the information that's kept inside of Perfion, and let Dynamicweb just be that pretty portal that showcases it all online to the customers.
Great, lots of flexibility there. So thank you for that. And next question is, are you able to automatically nurture your customers with personal emails based on their behavior?
Oh, certainly. So that's where personalization as well as user smart searches come into play. So like I mentioned, when we, you know, it's 2 things that are happening with that question. You know, there's behavior that's happening on the website. So what we call personalization, we're capable of identifying this type of behavior. So let's say a combination of personalization as well as our lead management tool, we're seeing that a customer, ABC customer, is on your site. They have been there before. They actually have signed up for a newsletter, let's say, and now they're doing certain behavior. Because we're capturing this information in real time, we're also capable of, in real time, without necessarily someone logging in to trigger this, to automatically say, all right, ABC customer is on the website. We're sending out an email, a trigger email to the sales rep to let them know that the customer is on there. But we're also seeing their behavior and capturing them for our Loves Hard Drives personalization profile, and they enter their email for the tailored reward, so they're getting 25% off. We're putting them inside of a smart search. So a variety of things can all occur that benefit sales, that benefit marketing, but collectively it's all information, or it's all basically triggers that are occurring based on a customer coming in, and either the fact that they've been a returning customer based on maybe a cookie, based on an IP, based on their login, and then we're capable of proactively and automatically pushing out emails to either they themselves or that user themselves, or to the people in the company who have to know that this customer is on the website doing certain behavior.
And what about emails being triggered to go out just automatically based on events in NAV or the CRM that's being used?
Certainly. All those behaviors within NAV and CRM, where as long as we're connected to those, then we can look for a Delta database where, all right, something has occurred and changed, so therefore once we see that has occurred, we can use Dynamicweb as that marketing platform to push out those emails to
Like to welcome a
whoever
new
needs to.
customer, right?
Exactly. Welcome a new customer, welcome them on board, and then even following up with them. Let's say 30 days later, they've not logged into the website, they've not purchased anything, send them that 30-day email message with, hi, we'd like to bring you back into the website, here's 10% off, and all these nurturing emails that follow in suit as a result of that, really based on time and or behavior.
Great. We do have a couple more questions. I know we're getting close to the top of the hour. So one more I think we should have time for is, can you update the online store without maintaining business logic in both NAV and the online store?
Can you repeat that again, Suzanne, please?
Can you update the online store without maintaining the business logic that's built into NAV and the
Oh,
online store?
okay, great. All right, I just want to make sure I understood it. Yes, you can. So like I mentioned before, long before we hooked up to NAV as our integrated solution to NAV, we were a standalone unit. You don't need to do everything in NAV, let's say, because of an inability to do that in-house or time restraints by your NAV partner to implement that. So you want to bring this to life faster on your website. You could do it actually through Dynamicweb and the interface. So this product catalog I'm just showing you as an example here, we're capable of seeing all the information that came from NAV, and obviously specific pricing is not kept inside here. It's really kept and remains inside of NAV. But let's say you need to make some changes to how information or changes to the product information, you could do so inside of this screen and this interface here. So you don't have to be wholly dependent on NAV. Like I said, we can provide sort of a stopgap solution, either temporarily or long-term, where information may or may not be kept. I mean, for example, extending that to, let's say, with meta information. So all this information here, name, number, ID, shop, whatever the fields you have as those name fields inside of NAV could be carried over here, like pricing or retail pricing, stock levels, of course, coming from NAV, but information that is not necessarily kept in NAV or anywhere else is, let's say, the basic meta tag information that Google needs to recognize this product page as a web page online. And this is where we have the capacity to fill in this information with whatever you want it to be. So that's where, you're not wholly dependent on having to do everything in NAV. You can use some of the strengths built into Dynamicweb to help you with those needs.
Perfect. Hey, I know we're at the top of the hour, so I just want to do a quick wrap up here. I appreciate everybody setting aside a few minutes of their day for the webinar. Thank you, Richard, for the presentation, and Joe, for your participation as well. Please send us your feedback on this or future webinars. Any suggestions you might have to info@archerpoint.com. Again, that's info@archerpoint.com. Thank you for your time today, and this concludes today's session.